So now I see the Q&A.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next installment of the NACDA and Affiliates virtual programming lineup. I'm Dana Leroy, Communications Manager for NACDA, and we are glad to have you with us for another important discussion. Today's topic is focused on something that was critical before the pandemic, but now is even more so, and that is student-athlete mental health. With the future still remaining largely unknown and postponed, canceled, or amended fall sports seasons beginning to take shape, athletics administrators must support student athletes' mental health in new ways as they navigate the effects of what this means for their athletics careers and their identities. John Guydon, CEO of Master Your Next Play, is here today to lead this conversation. John is a leading speaker on the connection between mindset and performance. He comes from a sales career where he set multiple records that still hold today. By focusing on mental health and self-responsibility, he's helped thousands of people consistently increase performance and find success without falling apart in the process. As the CEO of Master Your Next Play, he's working to help former collegiate athletes find massive success when their playing days are over. As a mentor, John has personally coached hundreds of entrepreneurs since 2014, helping them get out of their own way to reach their goals. Before we officially begin, a quick reminder for our live attendees to use the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom window and send in your questions throughout the presentation, as we will have dedicated time at the end to answer them. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to John to start the discussion.
Well, thank you, Dana. So really quick, sound check. Can you hear me? And can you see my screen?
Sounds great.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with all of you today. If you're in charge of an athletic department or in some way responsible for the student athletes in it, then this presentation is something you're going to want to pay close attention to. My name is John Guydon. I was a former collegiate football player for the University of Colorado. Go Buffs. See my helmet back there? A little paraphernalia. Heads up, I'll probably be a sweaty mess before this is over. This reminds me of the time, when we had to get dressed up before games. So heads up on that. After school, I enjoyed a successful sales career where I set some records that have yet to still be broken. From there, I got into entrepreneurship, raised millions of dollars in funding for a few different companies, one of which ended in a successful exit. Then I got heavy into mentoring young entrepreneurs, developing future leaders, and doing motivational talks primarily to Fortune 500 companies about the connection between mindset and performance. I leaned on my sports background and life experiences to develop my own framework for success. Then I delivered it on stage for a fee. Everything was going fantastic until about 18 months ago when I got on the phone with Gary Barnett. We call him GB. My college coach said something to me that changed the trajectory of my life forever. He said, John, do you realize that since you've graduated from CU, there has been 9 student athlete suicides? Wow. So I did some research to learn the fact that it's not just men, it's not just football, and it's not just Colorado. We have a problem that I can't ignore now that I'm aware. But in order to figure out what to do, I set out to learn why it's happening in the first place. So I polled over 200 recently graduated student athletes from around the country to get to the bottom of what's going on. And I'd like to share some of what I discovered. So I asked them, what's the number one question you are asking yourself after graduation, but have no answer? The number one response was a variation of this. How will I ever be this successful without sports? We took a dive into the things that former athletes experience but aren't comfortable sharing. These were the top 4. Disappointment. They didn't make it to the next level. They didn't have an incredible and rare opportunity waiting for them the day after graduation. They feel ordinary. Sounds a little strange, but think about it. When have they ever been ordinary? Expectations are naturally high with athletes. After all, we're used to doing things that not many other people can do. Embarrassment. It's a natural step when you're accustomed to certain levels of attention. And when you're done with sports, you assume that everyone is going to be disappointed when they realize that you're in this new, less entertaining phase of your life. This shows up a lot on social media. When you check on former athletes on social media, pay attention to the frequency. It's sometimes a strong indicator of mental health issues. More on that later. Anxiety. Worry about the future turns into worry about everything. Lack of energy, lack of concentration, irritable, short temper, trouble sleeping. This puts stress on all of the most important relationships they have, which makes the problem even worse. Here are some of the most popular beliefs representing nearly 65% of the athletes that I surveyed. I felt awkward going back, like I didn't belong. If I told my coach I was struggling, they would be disappointed in me. My school doesn't care about what happens once I'm done playing. It's depressing to think your best years are behind you. Sadly, you may not be surprised to see the fourth word up here, depression. I got to hear from a student athlete who was extremely close to his friend and teammate before that teammate decided to take their own life. This is what they said about that friend. He was in pain, but hid it from everyone, desperately looking for a game plan until he found it. It was at that moment that I decided to dedicate the rest of my life to creating a new game plan. And I'd like to take a few minutes to show you what we've got so far. It's called Master Your Next Play, a company dedicated to helping student athletes find success after sports. On campus, as you know, student athletes have their whole life structured around training and success. But the major question is what happens after they're done playing? This is a difficult transition for the majority of student athletes, and it can be pretty tough, and in some cases, fatal. They do a great job representing us. They do a great job representing the team and the university. Now it's time to do something better for them. And that's what this is. Master Your Next Play is an exclusive network for athletes, for free, for life, for real. Now, I've seen a lot of programs, seen a lot of different programs out there, coaching programs, like, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And it's $97 a month, or it's one-time fee of this. None of that. This is dedicated to these former student athletes so that they can have something to transition right into after they're done playing, and they've got something to look forward to. Now, we really do this through curriculum. We do it through connections, and we do it through community. Let's talk about the curriculum. So think of this kind of like a prerequisite. If you're going to college, it's the thing that we teach everybody, and we push this to everyone. And it's the 4 principles of being healthy. 4 principles of health. One is a healthy mind, healthy body, healthy finances, healthy relationships. Let me break those down. So when we talk about healthy body, these athletes are used to working out. They're used to eating a certain way. But then when they graduate, it all changes. That's why you see massive fluctuations in weight and health with former collegiate athletes. Sometimes people that ran track, they ran cross country, and then a few years later, they look like an offensive tackle. It's because all of a sudden, there's no structure around exactly what they're going to do. And they don't do the same thing physically as they do before. So we want to help them with that. Healthy mind, talking about mental health, talking about how they feel, the mindset, the mentality that they're bringing to their life after sports is critical. Without that, there's nothing. Healthy finances. You got to understand how money works. If you don't understand how money works, you're always going to have a negative relationship with it. And a lot of these student athletes, when you poll them and you ask them, they don't know much about money, especially if they were on scholarship and everything was kind of taken care of. They didn't have to work on budgeting. They didn't have to work on these principles. We want to help them understand, and with these specific things, they say, look, if you earn aggressively, if you invest consistently, and if you spend frugally, then your net worth will change drastically over time. We're going to help them with all those principles. And then finally, healthy relationships. This is your family relationships, business relationships, romantic relationships. All of those matter, and you got to understand how to do that. So we really dive into those 4 things as the principles. We deliver that information a bunch of different ways, but mainly through self-paced mini courses. So videos that they can watch on their own, at their own pace, in the private of their own home. Live Q&A sessions. So you've got questions, we've got answers. So on a regular schedule, getting together to say, hey, what questions do you have? In an environment where they're with peers, they're with people who are matching the same the same situations that they are in their life. Group coaching, specifically designed stuff. We're talking about money today, or we're talking about this, or we're talking about that. That's what it is. And then also personalized messaging forever to always bring them back to the right content, always inviting them back to what's going on. Hey, we're doing this, or we're doing that. That's the strategy. Master Your Next Play will continually grow an exclusive library of playbooks from athlete to whatever, doctor, lawyer, firefighter, brewery owner. It doesn't matter what, investor, doesn't matter what you want to do. There is a collegiate athlete who has gone from where they were, they graduated from school, and then they went on and did that. So what we do is take those long form interviews and we break down the good, the bad, and the ugly. Every single step, all the things that typically when they're out there in the real world, they don't really talk about. They don't tell people about the struggles and trials and tribulations around getting from point A to point B. We do exactly that. So connections. We're talking about careers. We're talking about investment. If you're an entrepreneur, we're talking about mentorship just in general, but more specifically with the matching. So if you got a specific situation, you bring that to us and we help point you in the right direction and get you connected with the right people. I've worked years and years to get an extensive network of mentors from all across the world with different experiences and bandwidth for different situations. And so I've been fortunate enough to be able to have whatever problem there is, and there's someone there that has dealt with that, that can talk through that, that can help with that. And I want to extend that to these former athletes. And you know, it's funny, or encouraging rather, is that I'll go speak to a group of professionals, corporate professionals, 500 people in a room. And I say, hey, I'm launching this program, and I talk about the program and I say, I'm looking for some more mentors. Raise your hand if you're interested in signing up. And they all raise their hand. So it's a network of thousands of folks and growing. Community. This is really around getting them connected to the people, the places, the situations they need to be connected in to do whatever it is they want to do after sports, whatever it is they want to do, but also is to check in and to really remove the stigma that is killing collegiate athletes. We don't typically talk about our issues and our challenges. We don't outwardly go and say, you know what, I'm afraid of this, or I'm nervous about this, or I'm feeling uneasy about this. We're always hiding something. And that's a perfect combination for mental health challenges. So we're really making some serious strides in that. It's hard for you to see everything. You only see what I show you. That's true on social media, it's true in life, it's true whatever. When you ask somebody, hey, how's it going? How many of your former student athletes say, horrible? How's it going? Oh, it's horrible. I'm irritable. I'm frustrated. I don't feel good about myself. I don't feel good about what I'm doing next. No. What do they say? Oh, it's great. Remember we talked before. What are some of the things that they believe? They believe that if they told their coach that they were struggling, that their coach would be disappointed in them. You only see what we show you. Like right now, I got a sport coat on. I got shorts on underneath, but you don't know that because I didn't show you. So when it comes down to mental health, we are serious about that. I mean, mental health is a serious challenge that deserves serious attention. That's why we're making a significant investment into social listening technology and AI, which stands for artificial intelligence. So with that, we're constantly getting better at identifying the warning signals that someone might need help while there's still time to do something about it. The AI, the artificial intelligence, works to recognize data patterns that we just can't see. Technology lets us learn these things exponentially faster. The more data we collect, the more insights we gather. The more insights we gather, the more proactive actions we take. And the more proactive actions we take, the more lives we save. Pretty cool, right? Social, if you're not familiar with that, there's a lot of companies out there and a lot of groups out there that talk about mental health, and it's becoming a buzzword of sorts. Mental health, mental health, mental health. And it's not because people don't want to help. Of course they want to help, but a lot of folks don't know how. They don't know what. They don't know exactly how to do it. And then they think about a business model, because folks got to make money out there. And so they're like, well, I could do this and do that, but how do we do that? Well, I'm excited to get into that part. I'll tell you exactly how Master Your Next Play makes its money, and it's probably not the way you think. All right. So if that wasn't enough, so we're teaching you healthy body, healthy mind, healthy finances, healthy relationships, right? So you're learning these skills, which is very important, but we definitely don't stop there. At that point, it's time to pick your path. And an athlete can pick any path here. These are just the programs that we're launching either now or this fall. I'll go through all three of these now, but this is just the beginning. There'll be more added on to this, but it is this pick your path idea is for them to make a decision to say, you know what, I'm interested in entrepreneurship, or I'm interested in this. And then we dive deep and we get real deep, and I'll kind of show you one of the programs now. So entrepreneurship, launching this fall in a nutshell. If somebody has an idea, we take them from a concept stage all the way through to fruition. So we're going to focus on revenue. If there's connections, I was part of the #1 startup accelerator in the world. So if there's connections to be made to entrepreneurs, to investors, to some co-founding team members that they might need, any resources and things like that, we're going to make sure that we connect them, but also walking them through the exact playbook to take something from an idea to making it real. Whether it's a presentation to raise money, whatever they need, we've got the resources to help them do that. Trades. Somebody's done playing, and you know what? They want to work with their hands. They want to get into plumbing. They want to get into they want to be an electrician. They want to get into heating and cooling. Plumbers are making about $1.50 and up these days. We're importing plumbers from Europe. We need plumbers so bad. So we're going to be launching that late fall. For any student athlete that's interested in the trades, we'll be starting our own Next Play Plumbing, Next Play Electric, and Next Play Heating and Cooling. We'll have an option pool, so they'll be part owner of Next Play Plumbing, and whatever they're joining. We'll help them with their training part, send them to the corresponding trade school that they need, coordinate so they can do their apprenticeship hours that they need to do, on the job training so they get out there and do their thing, but then help them with the whole entire narrative so that somebody can say, oh yeah, you were the running back for Florida State. What are you doing now? I'm part owner of a plumbing company and I'm doing some investments. Oh, it's pretty awesome. So trades program, really excited about that. Now, what we launched this January is our sales program. We call it Scrimmage. And I'm actually going to, we wouldn't have enough time to jump into all of these programs in detail, but I'm going to jump into the sales program because I think it's pretty darn special. So our sales program, we call it Scrimmage. Here's how it works. We start with athletes for obvious reasons. A lot of intangibles there. In fact, 65% of the Fortune 500 prefer to hire former athletes in sales roles. Then we add world-class coaching. Some of the best in the business have already jumped on board to say, I'm in, let's do it. Tried and true curriculum. So the training is intense and it is robust. We're going to back this whole thing with all of this support, kind of like if you play in a game and then you do film study. We've got that feedback loop set up so that people are learning the way that they're used to learning. They're learning by selling. We have a network of partner companies that have come on board to say, and we've got a whole backlog of them. They're literally waiting. I've got the reverse problem. I've got so many partner companies. I need more and more people in the actual sales program to be able to make the matches. But these partner companies, and we'll get into that too in a second, they'll say, look, absolutely sell my stuff and I'll pay you a commission. So they're actually learning by selling and making money during that process. It is an actual job. It's an actual job. The only difference is there's no quota. I'm not going to kick you out on the streets, right? We're here to support and help you grow. So somebody might be ready in a few months. Somebody might take a little longer to be ready. That's okay. All of this is backed by data, right? A great tech stack that is. Think about it this way. Imagine a sports team, a professional sports team hiring, like let's say football team. Imagine a professional football team hiring a running back the way that companies typically hire sales professionals. Could you imagine somebody sitting there in their football uniform and they have a resume and the coach is reading the resume? Oh, I see. Okay, rush for 3,000 yards. You break a lot of tackles. You're a leader. Okay, great. And there's references. Oh, okay, cool. So just call yeah, you can call them. They'll tell you how good of a running back I am. I'm well respected. I'm a great guy. Oh, well, great. Well, you got the job. Sounds crazy. So now imagine the reverse. Imagine a sales organization hiring a sales professional the way that athletes hire, the way that teams hire athletes. All of a sudden, they're going, okay, check this out. This is so-and-so from University of Colorado. They've been doing sales for the past bit during this scrimmage program. They're making an average of 90 calls per day, and they've been consistent for the past 120 days. Their closing ratio is 38%. It's pretty impressive. Here's their average deal size. Oh, and let's take a look at the Exec Vision game tape. Watch how they build rapport. That's the amount of data that we have. That's the tech stack that we already have established with the scrimmage program. And the reason being is we always want them to be building up on their value, whether scrimmage is their foster home or forever home. We want to make sure that they feel at home. And so we're going to take care of their health and well-being along the process. That's part of our core belief at Master Your Next Play. And then, so, all right, they're learning sales. They're getting their skills up. They got a track record and the data to prove it, world-class coaching, all of that support. And they're making money as they sell. Now, when they're ready, if they get to the point where their track record is solid and they're interested in this, then we've got a placement program. And we use their track record to determine if they're ready for the placement program. That is Fortune 500 companies like IBM, SAP, Thomson Reuters that say, yes, please. You mean you have an athlete that you've trained and you support and they have a track record? Yes, sign me up. So talk about these partners. We've got over 80 scrimmage partners right now with a pipeline to many, many, many more. We will never run out of partner companies. This is B2B companies, typically they're some are big, some are small, but they're real products, real commissions. We'll have a couple of athletes have over $9,000 months in August. So it's real money on the table here for these folks. But the beautiful part about the model is we get paid when they get paid. So we've negotiated commissions so that when somebody sells something in the scrimmage program, that company pays a commission for us and a commission for the rep. So it's all performance based. They get to grow at no risk, and we get paid when we sell stuff. Pretty great model. Let me walk you through an example just so you have a clear picture of this scrimmage program. So we've got partners that we've signed with. Great. Next move is the athletes sign up for scrimmage. So they go through and they say, okay, Master Your Next Play, what is this? And they're learning, and then they're engaging, and then they learn about the pick your path, and they go, I'm interested in sales. Boom. So now they're in sales. Cool. Then they go through training. They start going through training. And then as soon as that's happening, then we work on getting them matched, the matching process. We get them paired with a company or a couple of companies for them to get started with. And after that, they're getting after it. It's time. It's game time. It is game time. So they're going to sell. They're going to go through the cycle. Sell, coach, sell. Sell. Then they get some coaching. They sell some more. That's it. Sell, coach, sell, coach, sell, coach, sell, coach. Just like playing a game, getting coached, right? We went through the training. We're going to reinforce the fundamentals. We're going to make sure that you have this, all the resources that you need to succeed. From there, of course, they're paid for each closed deal. So they're making money. So at this point, they could be making $2,000 a month. They could be making $20,000 a month. It's up to them. But there's no quota. I'm not going to pull them aside and say, hey, in order for you to remain in this scrimmage program, you're really going to have to step it up. They can learn at their pace, which is important here. I'll tell you why in a second. And then again, if placement is their goal, it may not be their goal. They may be an entrepreneur. They may want to do some investment stuff. But if they want to go work for one of these companies, no problem. We've got a whole roster of companies dying to hire them. No problem. So scrimmage program is a guaranteed sales job. If there's anybody graduating from your university who used to play sports, interested in sales, we will hire them, period. They have a position at scrimmage. Done. It's predetermined. We've set it up so that they can come in with zero experience. They can come in with some experience. Doesn't matter to us. We'll take it from there. They went to college. Their prerequisite. They went to college. They were an athlete there, and now they joined the program. No problem. We're always hiring. Again, like I said before, we have the reverse problem. We have way more companies and with products to sell and prospects to sell to than we have right now, than we have people to sell. So that's where you guys come in. Talk about a benefit. Imagine having that benefit coming out of college. Hey, if you're interested in sales, we appreciate what you've done. You got a sales job forever if you need it, if you ever want it. Try your hand at entrepreneurship. That's cool. Oh, it failed because, that happens and you need to make some money. Come on back. Go work at so-and-so corporation. So-and-so corporation just had to do some layoffs. Come on back. You want to try your hand at this other thing? Okay, good. Come on back. You can get laid off on a Monday, come work with us on a Tuesday. How's that for peace of mind? This is something that I wish that I had. How does your mental state change when you are no longer concerned? If you're a sales professional, you're no longer concerned about having to make sure that you have a job somewhere. You have a job somewhere. We've set up the structure to where you've got that opportunity. There's opportunity for you to make money right now. Super proud about that. So talk about a benefit. Speaking of benefits, let's talk about the benefits to the university. The first benefit is a PR benefit. This is an amazing story. There is a story. Your local media near your university is going to tell a story about the new level of support, the new partnership that you've made to make sure that your student athletes are mastering their next play. And you get to get up there and, we really care about our students, because you do. It's a great PR story. Your PR team's gonna have a field day with this. Recruiting. This is a big one. And I'm gonna come back to this again before the end of the presentation here. But recruiting, that's a big deal. I remember when I was being recruited, and my coach, and I still have a relationship with my coach, so I know that he was sincere. But he said, I not only care about what you do here, but I care about what you do for life. I care about what you do after this. Well, now you have some backup to be able to prove that. Well, listen, we're going to support you, period, forever. This is a network for life, an exclusive network for life. Come, give us give us some good years, right? Let's work hard. Let's have fun. Let's get an education. Let's win some games. But when you're done playing, we're not done with you. We've got your back. It's an amazing recruiting opportunity. What's going to happen is, how can you be the school that doesn't say that? Because there are schools that are going to say exactly that. You want to be the school that, well, no, we don't have that. Come on now. Alumni. This alumni loop. A lot of time, and I've talked to several ADs about this, that ADs and athletic programs do a great job of working with old boosters. Great job working with people who played 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. But what about the players that played 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago? The assumption is, well, no, they don't have any money. They're still trying to figure some things out. Now's the time to stay connected and have that tight connection so we don't have those beliefs. Let me remind you back to that belief of that I don't believe that my school cares about what I do after I'm done playing. So this is an opportunity to keep on them with messaging and support so that they understand that that's the move. There's a wall missing from all of your facilities. All of you here have that wall that has the picture of all the athletes that went through the program and then went to the next level, made it to the pros, made it on the Olympic team. You all have that wall. You have that display. The display you're missing is the next play wall, the wall where you've got your 6 and 7 figure earners, your entrepreneurs, your movers and shakers, your world changers. Those people far outnumber the other, and they're just as important and just as share worthy. So make that connection. And also, this is going to be critical, because I'm going to talk about the future recruiting here, is a roster of role models. This is going to be increasingly important. The tools of connectivity are getting massively grown and grown and grown and grown and grown to the point that there will be such a day that the connection between people who went to a certain school, now some schools do a better job than others, but technology is going to bridge that gap rapidly. There are going to be universities that all of a sudden have no excuse not to connect people who went to the school 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago and the people that are there now, or the people considering going there. Mark my words, that is going to become a normal thing. So anyways, that's a benefit. We make it super easy. We provide all the resources to help get your university rolling. Messaging and content. This is messaging for whether it's emails and text messages and videos, things like that you need to tell your student athletes, hey, here's a program that we're behind that you have access to. So when you're done, here's what you do and here's how you do it. We're going to give you all that messaging so you don't have to worry about reinventing the wheel. We're going to take care of that. Recruiting materials. You're going to want to show off all of the benefits that you have to these young men and women that you're trying to convince to come to your school over all the other schools. So we're going to help you with recruiting materials so that you've got that all down. Depth chart reporting. This is a tough one for a lot of schools. It's hard to keep track. You got hundreds of student athletes, and every year you got a percentage of them graduating, and then you got another batch of them coming in, and then they leave and they disperse throughout the world doing a bunch of different things, and they don't necessarily do the best job of keeping in touch, and neither do you, and so there's always things slipping through the cracks, in good ways and in bad. Wow, I didn't know so and so created $1 million company. Wow, I didn't know so and so was hurting so much. Right. So we help you make that connection so that you understand what people are doing so that you can celebrate those things. If a player graduated from University of Michigan and they're doing X, Y, and Z, we want to make sure that we're communicating that with the university so that they can reach out and show some love to that individual. We're just tossing you softballs. No offense. Maybe I shouldn't use that one. We're giving you layups. That's another sporting analogy. You know what I'm saying. We're giving you these easy goes. We're saying, hey, here's the information. Here's the messaging. Go. And then you get to come, and because you want to. It's not like you don't want to. It's not like you don't care to congratulate a student athlete about this or that, or to reach out to them and say, hey, we did this or did that, or to reach out to them and say, hey, we wanted to honor you. I'm featuring you on our next play wall, and we'd like to ask you some questions. This is content forever. So this is content forever, and ongoing connection and support. So we got you covered. We got you covered. Think of us as a partner of yours to, as a liaison between you and the athlete, just kind of helping make that connection smoother. All right. The big question. Sounds amazing, John. What does it cost? Sounds incredible. What kind of budget do we need to allocate for this? Cool. Let's break that down. So master your next play, everything you need, all the things we just talked about. Annual license of $0 per year. We don't need your money. We get paid through our scrimmage program, through hard work and dedication, making sales. And if IBM wants to hire one of these student athletes, they pay us for the pleasure of that. That's plenty of revenue for us. We don't need any of yours. If you got some extra cash and you want to give us some, cool, but we don't need any. So let's go to the next level up. Master Your Next Play Plus. This is everything in the regular plan plus some special branding. You want some co-branded materials. You want to get a little bit custom with some stuff. Okay, that's cool. Now you want to add 360 video and some VR stuff. And you want us to create some content so that you can promote the program in a better way. You want to have me pitch with your AD, some stuff like that. Now for that, it's $0 a year annual license. So still pretty affordable. The only time you've ever come out of your pocket is if you want something super duper special. I've got some ideas. I know some of you have some, maybe you got some boosters or you got some things and you're saying, hey, if everybody's doing this, we want to do this plus, and that's fine. We can talk about that. There's some really, really cool things we can do, especially around having a local connection around those programs, the sales program and the trades program and the entrepreneurship program. There's a lot of really cool things to do. There's also an investment piece, helping athletes turn into investors. And there's all sorts of cool things that can be done. But we can talk about those as well. So just let me know. All right. Let me just break down something real quick, show you a little something, and then we can get to some questions and answers. We talked to you about the future of recruiting. Life after sports will become a normal point of discussion. It will be completely normal. Recruits and their parents will begin to consistently inquire about life after graduation. That is going to be a question that you are going to have to answer, and you're going to have better and better answers. You're probably being asked that already to an extent, but it's going to get more intense. There's going to be more, because we're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. This is my life's work. We're putting everything into this. PR, the stories are already starting to be told, and it's just going to get more intense. Alumni connections are going to become increasingly important and vital. People are going to really start to care, and there will be content around this about what happens to the 5-star recruits 5 years after they hang up their uniform. Let me say that again. What happened to the 5-star recruits 5 years after they hang up their uniform? Not all of them go play at the next level. What happens to those individuals? That is going to be the narrative coming up here in the next several years. It's going to be normal talk. So this is your opportunity to get in front of the wave. It's happening, and it's happening fast. The question is, will you be ready when it's here? I think everybody here can afford that. But if you're dying for me to sell you something, here you go. Recruiting is going to change forever. Let me show you what I mean. All right. And now you should look at me. I don't know if you can see the screen, but you should look at me because I'm going to show you something. Recruiting is going to change forever. I'm going to give you a vision. And I've talked to a couple of you about this already. And some of you are already down the road on this. So your head start is about to be diminished because I'm about to tell everybody. Cats can be out of the bag right now. Top high school coaches and trainers around the country soon will have a wall full of these VR headsets. Kids are going to put them on, and they're going to transport to your university. Literally. The coach is going to say, hey, so-and-so, this university is interested in you. Put these on, check it out. They're going to put these on, and they're going to transport to campus. They're going to be able to see how the team runs out of the tunnel or something like that. They're going to hear from coaches and counselors and fans. They'll look around at all the amazing facilities. They'll hear from all of the different stakeholders within the university, and that will be their first unofficial visit. The company that runs and creates and curates these amazing 3D and VR video experiences is called Evo, and they're one of our partner companies. One of our many partner companies. Kobe is a guy who played tight end for a Division II football school. He's the salesperson. He's the salesperson matched to that. So really cool opportunity to pub one of our athletes and one of our partner companies and our program at the exact same time, all the while talking about the future of recruiting. That, you heard it here first. So none of you now can say, I didn't know. Wow, that was a surprise. When you start hearing about that, when you start hearing about same schools in your conference that are starting to do these, and you've all done the Zoom calls now, you've all been recruiting virtually, struggling to figure out your lighting and this and that, and what does it look like, and trying to get creative and figuring out what's next. This is happening. Wherever those high school kids are, wherever those junior college kids are, these are going to be there. It's going to become standard fare. They're going to think it's weird if you don't. Like, wow, I can't just throw these on, and it may seem weird to some of you that may not be familiar with virtual reality and VR goggles, but it's a thing and it's not going anywhere. So I just gave you a heads up on the future of recruiting. You're welcome. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you for your time, and we'll open this up to Q&A, comments, questions, anything like that. My call to action is send me an email. We'll get you guys squared away. We'll get you guys set up. I know that all of you have athletes that have been years and years removed, and we welcome them too. But I also know that there are people that graduated this spring. How are they doing? They graduated in the middle of COVID. Things are all shut down, 30-something million people without a job. So there's a great opportunity to say, hey, we've got something for you. We can reach out to those folks and say, hey, we got something for you. First of all, you got people here to support you, but we have a plan. We have a game plan for you. There are opportunities out there for athletes. We're a special group of people that deserve a special game plan. And that's what Master Your Next Play is. We're going to have some fun. We're going to help them live happy, healthy, and wealthy lives. And we're going to change the statistic of athletes thinking that suicide is a viable way out. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And let's get into some Q&A.
Thanks, John. That was a great presentation. I think it gave everybody on the call a lot to think about. Obviously, again, on one of the most important topics is how we're engaging our student athletes, and these uncertain times. Everybody's saying it, but it's true. Our first question, I just want to remind our live attendees to continue to send your questions in through the bottom of your Zoom window. Our first question, if you could expand just a little bit on how do you see your program evolving as a result of the pandemic? These changes, like you said, everybody's looking for something now, and especially with those seniors who maybe lost their last year of eligibility or choosing not to return, some that are. How do you see your program evolving in that way?
Well, fortunately for us, we were born in the pandemic. We have been a remote operation from day one. And so there's not a bunch of adaptation needed for us. It's not like we had a big building and we needed to figure out kind of what to do. So as far as the sales program, we're connected to the American Association of Inside Sales Professionals. They've been pushing the idea of remote work for quite a while. So we're well equipped with the resources to do things like that. Entrepreneurship, same story, same scenario. Now, as it relates to trades, that's something that, you can't fix a pipe over Zoom. Right. And so that's a regional, it's a regional thing, but we're prepared for that as well. As it relates to communication and connection, events and community, during the time of COVID, we'll be doing the same things that a lot of organizations are doing, and, virtual connections and meetups and whatnot. And then once it's okay to meet in person, we've got some amazing things set up for that as well. But hopefully that answers the question.
Absolutely. If a student athlete is struggling with their post-play transition, but they're more interested in pursuing the arts or teaching, going that route, can they still join the program? I think this is referring to the scrimmage program and the community without being encouraged to change their preferred future plans.
100%.
And a follow-up to that would be, will there be a track eventually developed for students who are interested in other areas outside of business and sales?
100%. We are laying down tracks as the train is moving. 100%. You name it, we're on it. So yes, absolutely. And even now, when you don't have an official program for specific things like that, we do have an extensive network. The network is enormous, and high level folks that are willing to help. And so even though we don't have programs for all of the different tracks that we want to do right now, there are going to be some avenues, some things that we can do, some introductions we can make to some folks so they can be ready to jump into that now. I mean, there's we know artists, we know people that own art galleries, we know people that are into working in a technology position where they want to be a coder. As far as education, we're talking about traditional and untraditional education. We know people who are world-class as far as online courses, if that's what they're interested in, and they want to teach a skill set. We know people that are actual college professors and teachers as well, athletes who became teachers, right? So that from athletes to things. So that's kind of a stopgap not a stopgap, but a nice benefit for us is to have that library of playbooks. So an example would be, we have a former collegiate athlete who started a successful brewery and even doing well, well enough to survive COVID and all that good stuff, but they're doing really well. And so that's not necessarily a track that we have, but in that particular case, that person can say, okay, great. I want to start a brewery. And so that's my dream. That's my goal. So they can literally listen to that long form. So what we do is we take the long form interview and we turn that into a playbook. literally like you're running a play in sports. Like first you do this, then you do this. If this happens, move to here. You want to make sure you have this saved up before you move to this next step. And they can work with us, along the way, right? So we've in a sense there is kind of a stopgap in the middle between that, and then all the while, of course, there's a bunch of other things that have nothing to do with their actual career. I don't care if they're going to drive Uber and just travel the country. They still need, we want to make sure they have a healthy body, healthy mind, healthy finances, healthy relationships. So absolutely, it's not just those things, and it shouldn't be a deterrent.
If a student athlete who's already part of the program is struggling with their mental health while they're in part of the scrimmage, what resources do you have to assist them during that time?
Yeah, so we're continually building partnerships, depending on the level of severity, right? So if it's mentality and mindset stuff, there's lots of different resources that we can point them to. If it's more serious stuff, there's there's a bunch of organizations that we're continually vetting and partnering with to be able to connect folks, with the right folks, because obviously there are certain things that me or anybody on my staff can't, the things that we can't handle, but we can make a connection, right? So if somebody's if somebody's in a real bad way, we follow the best available channels to kind of get that going. Our structure and our thought is, we want to be as proactive as humanly possible. So we're not a crisis, we're not necessarily a crisis center, but we'll handle whatever we need to handle. I just had a former junior college teammate of mine actually just had an issue with him, to the point where he was suicidal, and we had to take some steps to help him. But the idea, the big vision here is to be super proactive, so we know 10 steps ahead that something's up, as opposed to waiting until there's a problem. But yeah, it is an ongoing challenge for sure, no doubt about that. There's no easy answer there, and there's no one fix. There's no one size fits all, because we're talking about the mind here. And I think, well, everybody on the call knows that. I mean, it's an increasing challenge. That's part of why we're making such a big push on the social listening and the AI, because AI will be able to help us, identify these things even faster. You just can't compete with the technology. They can listen to more things at the same time and identify things that we normally wouldn't see.
So this is kind of off the path of that. When you are working one-on-one with these student athletes, more so in the business setting, I guess, how do you track their progress so they can have tangible outcomes from the different resources that you provide them?
Love it. So as it relates to the sales program, there's literally, I mean, you name it, from recorded calls to every meaningful sales metric you can possibly think of. Quite literally, I'm not sure that there's a sales metric that we don't track. And so creating a really serious track record. As far as the sales program goes, I mean, we've got a whole, talking about their activity, talking about their conversion metrics, talking about their process, backing up with actual data about the fact that they're actually executing on that process, different skill sets that they have, even going as far as listening. And there's some tools out there. Exec Vision is one, where they actually listen and say, okay, when you bring up this topic during this period, this is the likelihood of sales. So literally, we're going to at some point be able to say, if you're selling pharmaceuticals, you should work with these type of athletes from the Northeast, because they do the best in that arena. I mean, that's how much data we're collecting. So we're big on data. As far as everything else, if it's just as far as managing process, it's a phrase that we use called lines, not dots. So dots is just somebody checking in saying, hey, I'm doing this. And they're like, oh, that sounds good. And then you come back again and go, hey, I'm doing that. And it's like, oh, that sounds good. And hey, I'm doing this. But if you drew lines between that, you'd realize that they're all over the place. So the way we mitigate against that is to, in the beginning, something called Dream Life Intent, where literally we're saying, how do you want to live your life? What are your goals? What is a specific goal inside of a clearly defined timeline? So this is where we start. Specific goal inside of a clearly defined timeline. Now, once we have that, then we can do what's called goal setting to the now. And then lines, not dots, means that we're going to make the connection to see, are you traveling in the right direction or the wrong direction? And then when we do that, then we can, step up and help them in any way that we can. So we really do rely on those check-ins and that data to be able to do that, because obviously, there's a scale challenge, right? When you have thousands and soon tens of thousands of athletes in a program, we've got to really rely on the data to make sure that we're listening to the right things so that we know the actions to take. And so that's kind of, how we're attacking that. Hopefully, I re-ask if there's a part of that I didn't answer. I want to make sure that I got that. It's a really good question.
Yeah, no, I think that was great. That answered that perfectly. Going more towards the type of student athletes that you've seen come through this program, I guess, have you had any international student athletes, or do you have processes in place for those types of student athletes?
We've never had any international student athletes. We just started in January. I would say as long as they speak English, we have every resource to support them. With a remote situation, it doesn't really matter where they're at and what they're, it really doesn't matter where they're at. They could graduate here and go to Austria, like an old teammate of mine who lives in Austria right now. We have no problem supporting them. There's the internet travels worldwide, so all good. We don't have multiple languages or anything set up just yet, but so if they speak English, we can support them.
That's great. I imagine that remote setup will come in handy for moving forward for those types of engagements for sure. And then do you accept graduates or student athletes who have left early to pursue a pro career and may not opt to finish their education, but they also may not have had a lucrative pro career?
100%, without a doubt. There's a niche that we don't talk about, but it's actually a challenge as well. Is okay, I graduated, I went to the league, I went to the pros, I had a pro career for a year or two, and they're just as lost. They're just as lost, and a lot of times more challenged because they've seen even a higher level of success, and so the fall is that much worse. So 100%, there's no hardcore requirement of must have a college degree, or you must have graduated from the university. We just want it to be we want it to be the right tribe, which are people that played college sports. It's not somebody who tried out for a team, didn't make it, never played, and liked sports and was interested. It's just, so as long as they were part of your program, a part of your family, they're a part of ours.
I want to go back really quick to the long form interviews and those playbooks that you mentioned. If you could just expand a little, I'm interested about how those student athletes are selected, from what schools you have them so far, and just that process. I imagine there's some people on the call who are certainly interested in promoting their student athletes to you to be a part of the program, but also they probably have some on the other side that would fit well for you to continue developing your materials as well.
You just answered my question for me. Network. I choose them by people that I know, the network that I've developed, and through the 6 degrees of separation. Oh, I know so and so did that. Or we may reach out to somebody if you hear about somebody doing something. I mean, just my school alone, University of Colorado, right? We've got lawyers covered, doctors covered, the brewery owner example, that was a guy from the bus, all of these different scenarios covered. And so I'm sure that other schools have that as well. And I got a neighbor who went to Notre Dame, and so he's doing some really good things in the corporate world. So we talk, so that's really what it is just network. So if you're sitting there and you've got people in your university, athletes in your university that are doing great things, then I'd love to talk with them, because what it is as leaders, I think we do a horrible job of letting people know how crappy things were at some point, or how bad we were at a thing at some point. They see us polished, they see us being successful, they see us doing these things, and then we forget or fail to let them know how sloppy it was in the beginning, or how stressful it was in the beginning. And so the whole point is to really just keep it real and give them that real playbook, and also just talk to them about things. There's athletes that are lost and don't know. For example, another teammate of mine who's a firefighter. He's going to retire. He's going to retire at a young age. Plenty of money, did really smart things with his money, made some really great choices, loves his life. And everybody else was saying how difficult it was to go through the academy. And for him, it was a breeze. And so we were just laughing and talking about that. And I was like, there are so many athletes that need to hear that. They have no idea. They have no idea. And so for them, because they may say, hey, I still want that locker room feel. I still want this and that. Well, guess what? Being a firefighter is a pretty darn good opportunity for you then, because you got the firehouse. It's kind of like the locker room. It's intense at times and all this. And so you can still use your physicality, but you got to use your brain too and all this. But compared to two-a-days, compared to getting up early for winter workouts, compared to doing the 300-yard shuttle test, horrible, by the way, compared to doing all those things, this is easy. But they don't know these things. So anyways, that's the idea behind those. And we'll just continue to do that. At some point, I'll have a dedicated studio space just for that. And it's just for the athletes as well. So we won't be seeing these just spread across online. It's kind of an exclusive thing.
That's awesome. And expanding on your network a little bit, can you tell us about a few athletics departments that maybe you've hit the ground running with? Obviously, CU is one of them. And you've mentioned, junior college teammates and connections that you have, but if you could just give us like an overview, certainly this material is helpful for administrators and student athletes across the country at all divisions.
Yes. Oh, so this is something that is available and relevant for every university in the country. I don't care if you're a junior college. I went to Fullerton JC, so shout out to the Hornets as well. So it's a JC. It doesn't matter if it's a 2-year school, 4-year school, Division I, 2, NAIA. It doesn't matter. The fact is, we all have athletes that need help. So we just getting started. Excuse me. I've had a couple of conversations with some schools in the Pac-12, working through that. But this is really our launch party. We're supposed to be in Vegas. I was supposed to be running up and down the stage. We're supposed to be shaking hands and doing all these things, but this is what it is. This is the launch party. This is where we announce to the world of college sports that the search is over. Right? We found something that is aligned appropriately. Something that you don't have to dig into the budget. You got to dig into the budget for this solution, but not master your next play. You don't have to dig into your budget for this. This is something that you just need to do. Let's support. Let's get this thing rolling. So yeah, there's no schools off limits. Don't think that, oh, this is just for, no, it's literally for that use case. You're a college, you've got athletes. Those athletes are with you and then they're not. Send them our way. We're partnered, right? It's not like, we're working together. So, that's the whole point of this thing.
Well, I think this is probably a good question to end on. Just to remind everybody who is in attendance today, what's the first step to getting this rolling for an institution? Is it, you said send you an email, but does it start with you and then you build the connection from there essentially?
Yes. So, we'll show that again just so everybody sees it. So the email is, I don't know if you can see that on the screen, but it's jg@masteryournextplay.com. Again, that's JG, which is my initials, John Guydon, jg@masteryournextplay.com. When you email me, right? Once you email me, then I will plug you into, I'll plug you in with our team and we will get a kickoff started. We'll do a little discovery call to talk about what's going on right now. Cause some of these universities, some of you guys already have programs, some other programs that you're doing and stuff like that. So you want there to be a little bit of coordination, totally fine. So we'll just talk about that, what you've got, certain different departments, within the athletic department, certain universities want to handle it in a different way. So we'll just kind of talk about that and then hand over the keys and say, hey, here's your kit, here are your resources, here's your messaging. Sometimes they want us to do the messaging. Sometimes, you probably have your own messaging capabilities as well. So we're just going to give you the content for you to do that. So we'll just kind of lay out that game plan and then that's it. And then we launch. It's really straightforward. It's we try not to be super complicated. It's pretty simple. So send me an email and I'll be emailing all of you as well. But because this is pretty much a no-brainer.
Well, sounds great, John. I just want to thank you again for donating your time today and explaining this this amazing program. I think there's such a need for it, especially now within the collegiate athletics landscape. So thank you from the NACDA team. Thank you to all of our members who are in attendance today. Just as a reminder, we will be sending out this recording as well as John's slides and his contact information to everybody who registered. And we thank you again. We hope that you will join us for another session coming soon.
All right. Thanks. Thanks for having me.